welcome to the Destin Business Forum, brought to you by the Destin Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Amy Perry, and our guest today is Hense Ellis. You are the owner of Insight Investments, and you're also a financial advisor, among other things, right?
I am. Good morning, Amy, and good morning, Emerald Coast.
Yeah, I like that. Good morning, Emerald Coast. Tell me what Insight Investments is, what it does.
Well, it's a new, small, local firm. And it has kind of a new focus that's built all around, managing risk, controlling risk.
For people that want to invest, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Kind of want to be obvious. So it's new. Tell me what brought you down here, where you came from, a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town in Alabama, just a small town boy. And, when I wasn't in school, I was working just kind of as a common laborer in family businesses. So I grew up around business for most of my life. And then I went off to school, and, I'll be the first to admit, Amy, that I spent way too much time in various universities. You have a nice time, but fortunately I did earn 3 degrees while I was doing that.
Wow. So your degrees are in what?
I have a BA in economics, and I have a law degree as well. I hope your listeners won't hold that against me, but I do. I focus mostly on tax law and business law.
Gotcha.
And then I went off to MBA school, where I studied finance and real estate. After that, I practiced law some. I was with the Alabama Attorney General's office for 10 years, fighting the bad guys, all right, instead of helping them out. And also worked for a commercial bank.
Okay.
I went through their commercial loan training program. But the funny thing was, no matter where I was, whether it was school or my various professions, I always loved investments and economics. I always returned to it. During my lunch hour, I would be reading the Wall Street Journal, which most lawyers probably don't do,
Right.
And then after work, I'd be checking the stock markets, where it went today, et cetera, et cetera. So
you've got this really solid business background, it sounds like.
True.
And so if somebody comes to it, like who are your typical clients? Somebody that's new to investing, that has been investing, that is maybe a little older, has been in the workforce for a while but hasn't been investing and needs to catch up?
My focus is more probably on older people, and by older, I don't really mean older, I just mean more experienced, maybe 45 and up.
That's older.
No. Just, folks that need to begin to think about preserving their wealth.
Sure.
They've already acquired some, and they need to hold on to it. They need to make sure they don't lose it in the next 50%, crash of the market.
So what is your advice to somebody? Because we were talking a little bit before we started filming. The market's high. Mm-hmm. You hear people saying, well, I don't want to get in now because it's so high. Some people that are in it will stay until it starts crashing, then they'll jump out. What's your kind of, I know your advice is very specific, but just generally, what can you do for people?
Sure. Well, that is part of the problem. These cycles in the market have been very vicious since the mid-90s, and that has a lot to do with what the government does and what the Federal Reserve Bank does. But in any case, you don't want to be that person that takes a lot of risk when the market's already high. And I have, because I'm so obsessive about this stuff, I have about 9 or 10 market valuation measures that I watch. And they're all kind of flashing red right now. In a word, what I kind of see out there is trouble. An economy that can't quite seem to reach escape velocity, but a stock market that's already escaped. I mean,
okay.
it's but by some readings, it's in the stratosphere. It's higher than 2007 before the last crash. So I'm worried, and I've got some ideas that are lower risk for people because of this.
Okay, so you can help them sort of manage that risk.
Yes, indeed.
I wrote down something that we were talking about, upside exposure without downside risk. How do you do that?
Through my research, I've actually found out that it's the insurance companies, who many of us think is kind of boring companies, maybe they're in the Midwest or, Texas or something. They've got some of the most ingenious ideas for investing now. And it's through some of the things that they offer, but those vehicles they have now can give you upside exposure to the market with no downside.
I would imagine that that upside exposure is not quite as great, but
Correct.
that's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off, and like you say, the upside is capped, but your downside is zero. All right, you know, you could possibly lose a little bit because of a small fee if the market doesn't go up and you don't cover the fee, but you're not going to crash with the market. It just won't happen because the product is structured that way to prevent that. So it's a good trade-off, particularly right now when the market is kind of priced high.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. I like it. Anyway,
I hope so.
All right, another thing that we were talking about, you said you had various things to offer in addition to this insurance product. Elaborate on that just a little bit.
There's a couple of portfolios I know about that didn't crash in 2008. Maybe they only made 0.5%, but making 0.5% is better than losing 75% or 50%. You know? Yes,
now that you mention it, I think it is. yeah, obviously. It's so hard. Do you help your clients? I mean, do you just give them choices? Okay, here's everything. This one's more risky, but the upside's greater. And tell them everything that's out there and then let them make the choices, or?
Exactly. That's the way it has to be. You know, I have to lay the environment out for them. I have to lay the alternatives out there on the table for them, and then let them make the decision. It's not my job to make the decision for them. You know, it's only my job to fully inform them and educate them. And there are many things available out there for people, and I can take their choices and kind of build it into an overall plan for them.
Okay.
You know, an approach that fits their mindset.
And do you ever have somebody come in and tell you they want something, and then after you talk with them, after you've interviewed them, you're like, I'm not sure that that's, you know, I can do that for you if you want, but maybe you should consider something else? Because I find a lot of people just don't know.
That's true.
They're not stupid. I would say they're ignorant, which are, you know, two completely different things. They just don't know what all is out there and how somebody like you can help them.
Exactly. And you know, that's part of my job, is to make sure they know what's out there, because they may not know. All right, and if there's something out there that's good and they don't know about it, well, most of them want to know about it.
Sure.
And so a lot of my time I spend reading and researching, asking questions, you know, staying on the phone with these people that, you know, offer these different approaches, so that I can know them and then present them to the investing public.
Okay, I am almost out of time. If somebody wants to come talk with you, we have your website. It'll flash up on the screen.
Yes.
Do you want to give out a number or just contact you through the website?
Yes, the website's fine, but you can always call me at 850-533-9887. And, you know, if you're kind of a low-risk minded person, you know, I may be a good person to at least sit down over a cup of coffee and bounce some ideas off of.
Perfect. Thank you, Hense. Come back, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back.